Let's kick it off with Aramco touching a $2 trillion valuation on Thursday. When are we going to get to know the real market value of this company, Tina?
Well, we have a better indication now, right? We've had 2 full days of trading now. The first day they went up by their limit, by the daily limit of 10%. That's encouraging. And then today they went up about 5%. But as you mentioned, for a few brief hours, they were trading at that magical $2 trillion level, which, as we know and as you've reported, is the level that the Saudi Crown Prince was looking for. We initially floated the idea of a Saudi Aramco IPO. And so where do we go from here? So we've had investors who've told us we think this thing will increase by another 10 to 18% in the next week. But on the other hand, we've also got a note today from Sanford Bernstein saying, get out, that it's time to sell already. So opinions are all over the place at this point.
But considering the difficulty that the Crown Prince had even bringing it close to a $2 trillion valuation, it's hard to underwrite the fact that he actually got there. Does this do anything for international listing? When do we get a read on that?
Well, I think, there was a pullback, and it became very much a local effort. You see a lot of local money in this, so it sort of defeats the purpose of trying to defray some of the liability and inject new money into Saudi Arabia that's not oil related, because again, you're having a lot of your own investors within the kingdom put their money into essentially an oil bet. So it's not really accomplishing everything that the Crown Prince set out to accomplish by way of diversifying the economy. I think that is still an effort that's ongoing, and I think what they've done is they've gone above and beyond to make this listing in Riyadh become incredibly successful so that there is a chance to potentially look at international.
All right, Tina Davis, good stuff. On the flip side, though, you got Chevron taking a huge write-down of as much as $11 billion, primarily due to its natural gas assets. I'm joined by Rachel Adams-Heard in Houston. Hey, Rachel, can you put this write-down into perspective for us, this huge write-down?
Yeah, it's pretty big. I mean, you saw the majors go big on gas, and so far for Chevron, that's been an $11 billion headache. But I think if you've been paying attention at all to U.S. gas prices and difficulty building pipelines out of Appalachia, you wouldn't be surprised just by how hard Chevron's been hit. I think it'll be interesting to really watch what happens to a lot of the independent producers in that area that don't have the balance sheet of Chevron, that don't have diversified assets, because you've seen with Chesapeake and the going concern warning that it flagged last month that these guys have seen better days, and it's just a really tough environment for U.S. gas producers.
Yeah, that definitely was the rhetoric, sort of who is next, what about the bankruptcies, and also really shown this huge spotlight on Exxon that bought XTO for $42 billion, and it's only taken a $2.5 billion write-down. Any read on where that stands?
Yeah, I think you kind of saw a mix of opinions. On the one hand, Exxon tends to take a bigger view, a more forward-looking view, or encompass a bigger future than Chevron does, and they're kind of known for that. So maybe they don't have to take as big a write-down as Chevron does. But on the other hand, you had Paul Sankey at Mizuho saying, okay, Exxon, what about you? What about XTO?
Exactly. What was also interesting is that in all of this, the CapEx plans were released. They're on the higher end. In particular, Permian investments are going to be about 10% higher next year to about $4 billion. But along with Permian oil production comes natural gas, which weighs on prices, which then hurts its other assets. It's this like vicious catch-22.
Definitely, yeah. And I mean, especially in the Permian, you're seeing companies say, okay, I have way too much gas. I don't know what to do with it. I can't connect to a pipeline. Kinder Morgan's pipeline that was supposed to be the next step on the docket is delayed because of opposition in Central Texas. So it's not a pretty picture for gas outlook if you have too much of it in the U.S.